All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our monthly webinar series. We have added an additional webinar during the month of March as we partner with the Texas Education Agency and the Military Child Education Coalition to provide educators with some valuable resources on working with students in your schools and communities that are highly mobile. We are very excited about this topic as it relates not only to educators, but to other organizations and professionals that work to support our highly mobile students. Thank you in advance for your interest in our Texas-based organization and also to all of our returning users. We're looking forward to learning and sharing some great information with you today during our webinar. For all of those joining the webinar, you will receive a link to access the recording, and we will also be posting all of our webinar content on our website, texasoncourse.org. We'll go ahead and get started with just some general tips to keep you engaged during the webinar so you can hear and see everything. We know it's a busy time of year. We certainly value your time, so we're going to go ahead and get started with just a short orientation of Zoom, which is our webinar platform. So if you can hear and see our presentation, you have successfully launched Zoom on your device, which is the platform that we use for our webinars. Here are just a few tools to change your settings and make sure you can participate during the webinar. The first one is your audio, so you can turn your volume and also check your speaker. We're in webinar format today, so all of the attendees are actually muted, so you can use the chat box. We'll save room and time for questions toward the end, and the panelists and the guest speakers are all unmuted. This next one is a way to raise your hand and lower your hand. Rose Fretza, our communications coordinator, is going to keep track of anyone that raises their hand or adds anything into the chat box. So she's going to keep track of that for us today. And you can also add in question and answers into the Q&A box that looks like this. We'll make sure we get those answered for you. And you can also change your screen size in the top right-hand corner. So we get a lot of questions about who we are and what we do exactly because we're kind of new. But Texas OnCourse is an initiative led by the University of Texas at Austin, and that is where we're housed. Our organization was created as a result of the Texas legislature as a collaborative effort between UT Austin, the Texas Education Agency, the Texas Workforce Commission, and the Higher Education Coordinating Board. In 2016, the governor created the Tri-Agency Workforce Initiative, and we all work together to better connect education and industry within the state of Texas. So what do we do? Our goal is to be the state's definitive resource for college and career planning and reach as many people as we can across the state and also beyond. So we've developed many resources for educators, students, and families to better prepare for post-secondary success, starting as early as the middle school grades. During the webinar, we will highlight some valuable tools from our website and also review our module on this topic that's located within our professional learning platform for educators, which is called the Academy. How can we serve you? So we find that many educators have to go to several different places for professional development, and that can often be very time-consuming and tedious. As a result of that, we've made an effort to provide professional development as well as free advising tools, resources, and curriculum to support your advising strategies with students in whatever capacity that may be. The users of our tools include middle and high school counselors, teachers, administrators, and community-based organizations that focus on post-secondary success. Our vision for Texas OnCourse is that every high school graduate, no matter where they come from or where they're going, has a plan for what's next. It's kind of our simple message, but also that everything that we create, we do with this vision in mind. So just to go over a few numbers about who is using Texas OnCourse, as many of you know, when we began, over 2,500 counselors and advisors across the state helped us build our resources. This essentially means that our resources were created by counselors and advisors for counselors and advisors. So fast forward to today, and we have 11,152 educators that are registered for our resources, 2,800 schools across the state, and 926 school districts. That is actually over 75% of the districts in the state. So we have seen a lot of growth in a very short amount of time. We're also seeing an increase in the number of teachers that are using our resources, as well as middle school educators. We also have over 20,000 middle school students using our middle school resources, and these include our career exploration game Middle Galaxy and Map My Grad, a graduation planning resource. So for some of our webinar attendees that may be new to Texas OnCourse, it will be helpful to check out our website, texasoncourse.org, and our homepage can be found here, and it looks like this. You'll find some valuable information, including relevant blogs, a calendar with important dates, and our tools bar will show the bulk of our resources. Jaslyn Green from Texas OnCourse is going to take a deeper dive into our learning module that is our focus today on advising highly mobile students. But we encourage you to also take a look around and explore our site for yourself. So we want to welcome Texas OnCourse users and anyone that's joining the webinar today. We have over 175 people registered, so we will send this out to a lot of people. The professional learning we've been talking about and that we'll go over today is known as the Academy, and it now has 4 content areas. Those include career pathways, financial aid, post-secondary pathways, and now specialties. Each content area has learning modules and badges that we will show in just a few minutes, but it's helpful to know that these are the major areas of learning within the Academy. So I just want to briefly go over our agenda for the webinar, and then we'll get into give our guest speakers some time. So we wanted to provide enough time for them to share their information. We want to welcome everyone and provide some time for everyone to do quick introductions. Then Jaslyn Green, our Associate Director of Content and Resources, will highlight the elements of our learning module on advising highly mobile students and other Texas OnCourse resources. Then we have Annette Farmer, Vice President of Programs and Curriculum. She's our guest speaker from the Military Child Education Coalition. She'll share some resources and programs they've created that support these families. Then we have Abby Rodriguez joining us from the Texas Education Agency. Abby is the state coordinator for military connected students. After our expert, those questions and then wrap up. So I'll start with my own short introduction. My name's Laura Guggen. I'm Senior Partnerships Coordinator here at Texas OnCourse. I have a K-12 counseling and advising background, and I work closely with our school districts and how they implement our middle school resources, as well as our fellows and counselors that use the Academy across the state.
Good afternoon. My name is Jaslyn Green. I am the Associate Director of Content and Resources on the Texas OnCourse Initiative, background in college and career readiness and access for students at the K-12 level.
Good afternoon. I'm Annette Farmer, Vice President of Programs and Curriculum for Military Child Education Coalition. I have a background in law. And I've been with the organization for over 8 years. The mission of Military Child Education Coalition is near and dear to my heart as a granddaughter to 2 career military grandfathers, the wife to an Army veteran, and a mom.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Abby Rodriguez, the State Coordinator for Military Connected Students. I joined the Texas Education Agency in 2017 as a state coordinator with a primary focus on building capacity within the agency and our Texas public schools to address the unique needs of military-connected students transitioning in and out of our public schools as one or both parents serve our country. I've been working with highly mobile and at-risk students and their families in Texas public schools for over 12 years, and I'm dedicated to finding solutions to ensure education equity for all children. I am also honored to be a proud daughter of a Marine veteran.
Good afternoon again. This is Jaslyn. We're going to talk a little bit about how we partnered for success. We at Texas OnCourse decided to partner with the Military Child Education Coalition team in an effort to really just combine our work and our efforts around supporting those highly mobile students and families. The ultimate goal of our partnership was to expand access to tools and resources for supporting and advising military connected and other types of highly mobile students and families on their post-secondary and career options. As a result of this partnership, we were able to pull together our resources to design and develop a professional development training module. This training module helps anyone advising highly mobile students and families with just, number one, understanding what is meant to when we say highly mobile. How can they make a difference in the transition process for millions of military connected and other types of highly mobile students? This module is currently available in what we call Texas OnCourse Academy, and is unique because it's currently the only module available for use throughout the US. The module is both on demand and also competency based. So after successfully completing the module, you'll be able to demonstrate your ability to assist highly mobile and military connected students and families with the transition to new secondary schools, post-secondary and career planning, as well as personal and social development. You'll learn how to describe policies related to highly mobile students, how to differentiate between the types of highly mobile students and the challenges each type faces, and how to describe strategies to address some of those basic needs of highly mobile and military connected students. So the module we've developed is entitled Advising Highly Mobile Students, and again, it is located in what we call Texas OnCourse Academy. One way to access the module is by visiting our website, texasoncourse.org, and selecting tools, and then you would drop down to Texas OnCourse Academy. Next, you'll see this screen, and you will basically just select the educator login button to continue. Current users would just enter their credentials to log in, and our new users would select the need to register link at the bottom. This will bring up the registration page that will allow new users to create an account. You enter basic information like your name, occupation. You would select your current state. One thing I'd like to mention is that you will need to verify your email address. Immediately after you create your account, you'll have one-time access to the platform to view the module, but if you return without verifying your email, the system will require you to do so before you log back in. Once you're logged in, you'll see the dashboard. Again, this is the only module that's currently available outside of the state of Texas. So once you log in as a non-Texas user, you'll only have access to the Advising Highly Mobile Students module, but you can begin the module by clicking the Continue button on the left side of the screen, or clicking the Continue button right next to the title of the module under the Content Area and Competency section. After successfully completing the module, you will earn a digital badge. Once logged in as a Texas user, this is the dashboard you'll see. Similar to the non-Texas users, there are two ways to access the module. On the left, you can actually alphabetize the list of all modules, and the highly mobile module will be the second module on the list, or also access it under the content area section. Texas users have an opportunity also to earn a digital badge, as well as continuing professional education credit certificate. The module begins with an introduction The nice thing about it is the introduction provides a short 1-minute video available for anyone to view and learn a little bit more about what's covered in the module before accessing the remainder of the content. As I mentioned before, the module is competency-based, so after the introduction, you'll take a pre-assessment, which allows you to gain credit for your prior knowledge. After completing the pre-assessment, you'll see a green check mark next to the content that you've demonstrated you have prior knowledge in, allowing you an opportunity to truly focus on the content that you may not be as familiar with. This does not mean that you can't access the information with the green check marks. We truly encourage you to do so because there are several valuable resources that can aid your advising sessions. Unit 1 focuses on preparation information, so understanding some of the common needs of highly mobile students, as well as the available programs and resources. Unit 2 focuses on understanding some of the core issues highly mobile students face as they transition from state to state, as well as from school to school. Unit 3 provides information on strategies and tips for supporting highly mobile students. Unit 4 focuses on engaging students' entire family, as well as it highlights a few common mistakes to avoid in advising sessions and supporting highly mobile students and their families. At the conclusion of the module, you'll complete an end-of-module assessment. This final assessment is used to determine your mastery of content in the module, as well as grant you the digital badge. One of our goals at Texas OnCourse is to ensure that the Academy includes infographics that you as counselors, advisors, mentors, and others who are supporting students can download, print, and immediately use in any sessions with students and families. These are the 2 resources that we would like to highlight today. The first infographic we would like to highlight is entitled Strategies to Support Highly Mobile Students. As school counselors and advisors and others supporting these students, they're really the first line of stability for highly mobile students. So when school counselors are mindful about positive strategies to mitigate stress during transition for students, they create a more positive environment and smooth path to college and career readiness. Here are some strategies for helping students get credit and transcripts transferred to their new school. It includes tips like hand carrying records and having an open line of communication between the sending and receiving schools to ultimately help highly mobile students with course placement. This infographic can be found in Unit 3 of the Advising Highly Mobile Students module on the high school planning page. The next infographic we'd like to highlight is resources for highly mobile students. Various studies have found student mobility to be associated with low school engagement, poor grades in core subjects, and a higher risk of dropout of high school. It is important to understand that mobility patterns are different for homeless students, children from low-income families, children of parents who are incarcerated and also divorced, and many other demographics. These are resources that are available to really support the various types of highly mobile students. Some of them are general in nature, and others are very specific to the particular challenges faced by each student group. Please visit Unit 1 of the Advising Highly Mobile Student module on the Programs and Resources that Assist Students with Transitions page to download this today. In each module in Texas OnCourse Academy, we've generated a number of resources, including infographics and handouts that you can print out, hand out to students, or even hang up in your office. You can find these resources, throughout each of the modules, but you can also find the resources from the module we're discussing today on our Pinterest. Here's a snapshot of the Pinterest board for our Advising Highly Mobile Students module. You can access the board by visiting pinterest.com/Texas OnCourse. And now I'll turn it over to Annette from the Military Child Education Coalition to share some additional resources. Annette?
Thank you, Jaslyn. First, I'd like to thank Texas OnCourse Academy, or Texas OnCourse, for this great partnership. It has really been a joy working with you all. And of course, this wouldn't be possible without funding through the Texas Education Agency. And so thank you, Abby, for all the support that you all have given us from the Texas Education Agency. Military Child Education Coalition is a 501c3 nonprofit organization headquartered in Texas But really, we serve military-connected children throughout the United States and throughout the world, as we have installations overseas as well. Our mission is to ensure inclusive, quality educational opportunities for all military children affected by mobility, family separation, and transition. These students move on average 6 to 9 times, and of course, with each move requires a school transition. And so the reason we wanted to partner with Texas OnCourse Academy, or Texas OnCourse, I'm sorry, I keep saying Academy, is to really be able to reach all of the school professionals who support these children in these transitions. As you can imagine, with each transition comes transcript, translation challenges that may come up to make sure that all of the credits transfer from one school to the next. As a student moves from one school to the next, they may experience a gap in learning certain topics. If that topic was covered earlier in the year at one location and later in the year at another location, when the student moves, they may unfortunately miss one of those topics. And so we really try to provide resources, programs, services that help address those kind of challenges that these children experience. In addition, just going to a new school has its own social emotional aspects of making new friends and finding out what's the in thing to do at that location. And so we have programs that also address that. Next slide, please. So I want to give you just a quick tour of our website and the resources that can be located there. The first one is, this is our homepage. We have a scrolling banner, so each time you go back to the homepage, it might be a different look. But if you go up to the top bar, you'll see programs, training, and initiatives. There you can see that we have topics for parents, students, professionals, and then we have specific professional development training. And of course, you can look down and see the other options. We're going to look quickly at the professional development topic. And you can see again, about midway in the page, you could jump directly to what kind of offerings do we have for parents, what kind of offerings do we have for students, and then what do we have for professionals. Because it relates a little bit more to our audience today, we're going to focus more into what we offer for professionals. But I just want to point out, you can sort down below for whatever specific topic you're looking for. So you can see just a glimpse poking up down there at the bottom, helping military children discover their spark. If you were to sort in the audience column for professionals, and then if you sorted in the topic for professional development, and you wanted a format of one-day training, it would call up this option. And of course, you could do one of those. You don't have to hit all three of those options just to pull that up, but you'll get there a few different ways. If we could go to the next slide, please. So if you go further into professional development training, we offer 7 face-to-face trainings and 2 online trainings that cover a variety of topics related to military-connected students and various things that are specific to them. You could go a little bit further, and I haven't included that slide in here, but if you clicked on the traditional courses, you would be able to register, see the selection of face-to-face trainings that we offer. They are all one-day trainings, and you could pick the one that is most appropriate for your needs. And then if you look down below, unfortunately the wording has been cut off, but the gentleman sitting at the computer, that's our 2 online trainings that we offer as well. And then if you look over to the side of the screen, you'll see customized professional development to meet campus and district goals. So we are able to tailor things specific to a school district or specific school's needs. And then of course you see down below the Texas OnCourse and link to get to the module that Jaslyn was just going through. Next slide. If you go back to our homepage, again, we have a different picture. These are students who joined us at our Francis Hasselbein Student Leadership Program. We have 2 each year, one with West Point and one with the U.S. Air Force Academy. Great group of kids there. If you go over to the resources tab, you would pull down the little toolbar, and it shows the topics that we would have under there. So college, workforce, and life readiness, exceptional needs, and so on. We'll focus on college, workforce, and life readiness and transition, because I think those might be topics that are of most interest right at the moment. And so if you clicked on resources and then you go to college, workforce, and life readiness, it would take you to the next slide. And there you would see all the different, we have a number of webinars and a variety of other options that would really address this topic. And so this would be a way that you could get there. Again, you have the 3 methods for sorting. So if you weren't really interested in a webinar, you could click on the all formats and look for items in print. You know, if we had face-to-face topics or whatever format, you could go there and find the different ways we deliver it. Next slide. And if you go back to our resources page, we could look under transition, since that's the topic of our the module that we're discussing. And at that location, next slide. Again, you would see a variety of topics, resources that we have addressing the topic of transition. And again, the sorting and search method is the same. Next slide. So in addition to a very full website, and we have quite a few resources stored on there, hopefully this really brief overview has given you an idea of how to navigate through that. We have ways to stay engaged and in touch with us. Voice for the Military Child is our newsletter. So if you would click at the link that's shown there, or if you follow that link, you could sign up and we would send out newsletters periodically, just keeping you up to date on new things that are going on with the organization. You could also join us for our webinars, and there's the link for those. And then we have a really, really great podcast activity going on, and you can join us there at Google Play Store, iTunes, or Podbean. Of course, if you have any questions, please, my contact information is there, and I'd love to hear from any of you. Thank you. And I think we're going to turn it over to Abby now.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again to Texas OnCourse and to the Military Child Education Coalition for giving me this opportunity to speak about highly mobile and at-risk student programs division, specifically to our military connected students. Next slide, please. I'll start off by introducing you to the Texas Education Agency's strategic plan. Our ultimate goal at the agency is to improve student outcomes and see more students transition to college, career, or the military. The strategic plan can be found online on the Texas Education Agency's website. You will find agency's mission, philosophy, goals, objectives, and strategies. Next slide, please. To achieve the vision for public education in Texas, the agency has outlined specific priorities to guide and focus our work on behalf of more than 5 million children in our state. Both agency enablers strengthen organizational foundations and ensuring compliance, effective implementation of legislation, and informing policymakers are foundational elements and critical drivers of the work of the highly mobile and at-risk student programs division. Next slide, please. To align with the TEA strategic plan and agency priorities to ensure that all students are college, career, and military prepared, the highly mobile and at-risk student programs division was created under the Department of Special Populations in the Office of Educator Support. The purpose of the highly mobile and at-risk student programs division is to improve the resources and tools available to educators as they serve our highly mobile and at-risk student population, and also to improve student outcomes regardless of the student's mobility and other barriers that might impact their academic success. Next slide, please. Our highly mobile and at-risk student programs division includes military-connected students, pregnancy-related services, foster care and student success, the Texas Education for Homeless Children and Youth, Migrant Education Program, and mental and behavioral health. We also participate on a number of interagency work groups, and we're responsible for a variety of legislative reports and inquiries concerning at-risk students. Our division is led by our Executive Director of Special Populations, Niloy Gangopatahai, and our Director, Kelly Kravitz. Next slide, please. Each of our highly mobile student populations have priority initiative projects that we're focused on for the next 2 school years. Military-connected projects are to increase the number of military-connected students being identified by school districts and open enrollment charter schools by 3%, and to utilize the military student identifier data to create a suite of resources and to assist our educator service centers, also known as ESCs, our LEAs, which is our local education agencies, and our stakeholders to provide support to our military-connected students and families. The military student identifier data will also assist the agency to seek our local education agencies' input and feedback regarding their best practices and strategies for their highly mobile student population, again, specific to military-connected. We hope to conduct site visits to LEAs to take a deeper dive to discuss their best practices, strategies, as well as barriers that their student populations encounter as they transition from school to school or even out of state or country. Next slide, please. Under the Every Student Succeeds Act, also known as ESSA, the federal education law was signed by the president in December 2015, requiring that all public schools collect data on active duty military school-age children in grades K through 12. There was no federal requirement prior to 2015 to identify military-connected students. Therefore, data regarding academic achievement, attendance, graduation, and other educational outcomes were unknown for this highly mobile student population. Texas, however, has been collecting the military student identifier beginning in school year 2013-2014. Texas is also just a handful of states that identify not only our active duty student population, but also our National Guard and Reserve connected student population. Texas law under the Texas Education Code 25.006C1-2 requires that the agency collect data each school year from school districts and open enrollment charter schools through what we call our PEIMS related to enrollment of military-connected students. And so PEIMS is actually our Public Education Information Management System, encompassing all data requested and received by the Texas Education Agency. This includes public education, including students' demographics and academic performance, campus personnel, financial and organization information. And I just want to remind everybody that student information is held to the utmost confidentiality and FERPA-related information is protected under the law. Next slide, please. The military student identifier is essential in identifying opportunities to increase educational outcomes for students transitioning in and out of Texas public schools. Parents and guardians have the discretion to identify their child as being military connected to school districts. Parents and guardians are typically asked these questions during the enrollment process in their enrollment packet. The benefit to identifying their child is that educators would in turn be able to create or link the students to educational resources and know what services the student could be eligible for. In Texas, we identify active duty military, which includes Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and National Guard and Reserve on Title X orders. And we do have all branches of these armed forces represented in Texas. In addition, we identify our National Guard, which includes Army and Air, and our Reserve connected students. Our Reserve unit is actually located in Houston, Texas, in Ellington Fields. We always include information regarding our veteran students, even though currently we are not required by law to identify them. We let educators know that transitioning from active duty to a civilian can be challenging not only financially, emotionally, and physically to our students and their families. So we definitely want to keep these students on our radar. Next slide, please. Texas has the second largest population of military-connected students in the United States, with more than 89,000 attending public schools. Military-connected children move on average of 6 to 9 times during their K through 12 educational experience, and 80% attend U.S. public schools to include charter and magnet schools. Children from military families are twice as likely as their civilian counterparts to serve in the armed forces as adults. This is particularly important to Texas public schools in that the 85th Texas legislature passed House Bill 22, establishing 3 domains for measuring academic performance of districts and campuses. These 3 domains include student achievement, school progress, and closing gaps. Districts receive a rating of A, B, C, D, or F for overall performance, as well as performance in each domain. Campuses receive A through F ratings began in August of 2019. And under the student achievement domain, there's a college, career, and military readiness component, measuring graduates' preparedness for college, workforce, or the military. They define that as military enlistment in the armed forces to include Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Marines. Next slide, please. In 2018-2019, military-connected identified student PEAM snapshot was 89,736. Now, snapshot are numbers submitted by districts and numbers collected from the last Friday in September to the last Friday in October of that particular school year. The submission is intended to give us a picture in time or a snapshot of student enrollment. Our identified military-connected student number actually increased by 2,000 students from last school year, 2017-2018, to current school year, 2018-2019. The data on this slide can be found on our agency website. You will also be able to see the total enrollment and the number of students identified in the other student populations. And just to give you an idea for end-of-year data, our end-of-year data for 2017-2018 had us at over 96,000 identified military-connected students. So we can definitely see that our schools are gaining military-connected students throughout the year. Next slide, please. Through the data, we are able to pull for the military-connected students. We were able to create this map of Texas indicating that we have military-connected students attending public schools and open enrollment charter schools in every region of Texas. This was huge for us when we first created this map because we knew that we had military-connected students kind of spread across Texas. We couldn't necessarily say that we had a military-connected student attending every school campus in Texas, but now with the military student identifier and with this map, it definitely gives us a better idea and a rough estimate of where our students are located. The legend to the bottom left indicates the range and the number of students identified by region. The map also shows purple stars for the military installations. We've recently added another star in Region 13 for the new Army Futures Command that's located at the University of Texas campus. This regional map is also available online on our TEA Military Family Resource page. Next slide, please. To most effectively serve our highly mobile students, identification is critical to inform the parents, student, and educators of every right, resource, and law they have access to. Regardless of their mobility, the challenges can be very similar. So school stability and streamlining resources for our students is critical to their academic success. Next slide, please. In this instance, for military-connected students, identification is important in determining whether or not that they can benefit from provisions of the Interstate Compact on educational opportunities for military children. The compact removes barriers to educational success imposed upon children of military families because of frequent moves and deployments of parents. In 2009, the 81st Texas legislature adopted the compact into law in the Texas Education Code, Chapter 162. All 50 states and the District of Columbia have signed the compact for military children. Through the past year, we've learned a lot about how various states have adopted the compact into their legislation, and we, as an agency, have learned the relationship of state law and local school district policy that drives the implementation of the compact here in Texas. We also have learned that many advocates, families, and even educators did not fully understand who was eligible and how they could use the compact to ease transitions from state to state. We've had a great opportunity to strengthen the knowledge of parents and educators regarding the compact. One of the biggest things to take away from the compact is that it allows military-connected students with an active duty service member, parent, or guardian to receive a diploma from the sending school if they do not meet graduation requirements in the receiving school. And in this instance, it would be here in Texas. For more information on the Texas Education Code, Chapter 162, you can visit our TEA Military Family Resource page. But if you are an educator here in Texas, you have various guidance materials available to you in which the compact is referenced, such as the Student Attendance Accounting Handbook. Next slide, please. And so we'll talk a little bit about resources. We at the agency have built capacity to strengthen our partnerships and coordination with various individuals and organizations supporting our military-connected students attending Texas public schools. Next slide, please. Specifically, we have developed a great working relationship with our school liaison officers, also known as SLOs. Our school liaison officers are located on the major installations across Texas. School liaison officers are funded by the federal government, and they assist our military families not only transition in and out of our schools, but also our communities. We have a standing quarterly phone conference with our school liaison officers and communicate the same information to them as we are with our ESCs and our LEAs. On our TEA Military Family Resource page, you will find an updated contact list with their locations. So if you have a family or maybe even a campus or an educator who has a question, they can always reach out to their school liaison officers. Next slide, please. We have also created a robust website filled with resources for students, parents, educators, and stakeholders working with military-connected families. The website has various links to information to all of what we have spoken to previously in the webinar. And I encourage everyone to not only visit the Military Connected Student webpage, but all of our student populations in the Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs Division team. You will also find contact information for all of the respective state coordinators. Next slide, please. So some upcoming news and communications. Next, please. We are building capacity within our Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs Division to communicate and report improved school experiences regardless of students' mobility and other barriers that impact academic success. To that end, we encourage everyone to sign up for our newsletter updates as a division, but also the program areas that you are interested in learning about and receiving more information on. You will see this sign up for updates page in which it'll prompt you to enter your email address. Next slide, please. Then you will pick from the various topics that you would like to receive more information on. I've gone ahead and highlighted all of the highly mobile and at-risk student population categories, but I would also encourage you to check the the student populations, the highly mobile and at-risk student populations topic as well. The Highly Mobile and At-Risk Student Programs Division will be launching our first ever newsletter the first week of April. So please be sure to sign up for that. Next slide, please. Governor Abbott has proclaimed April as Month of the Military Child. Month of the Military Child is a time to honor the sacrifices made by military-connected children worldwide. Specifically, on April 12, 2019, Purple Up for Military Kids will be celebrated to show support and to thank military children for their strength and sacrifices. We encourage everyone to wear purple on this day, and wearing purple is a visible way to show support and thank military-connected youth for their strength and sacrifices. Purple indicates that all branches of the military are supported: Air Force blue, Army green, Navy blue, Marine red, and Coast Guard blue, all combined together as a single color, purple. You'll also notice on the right-hand side on our page for the Texas Education Agency, we actually have some links located for how to celebrate and give you ideas for Month of the Military Child. The Military Child Education Coalition actually provides a toolkit on their website. So I definitely encourage everyone to not only purple up, but really celebrate our military-connected kiddos. Next slide, please. Here you will see my program contact information. You'll have a link to our TEA Military Family Resource page, as well as my telephone number and email address. So if you ever have a question or concern regarding any of the topics concerning military-connected students, please feel free to reach out to me, whether it be phone or email. Thank you so much for taking the time out today to listen to our webinar.
Great, thank you so much. I just want to do a quick recap on our resources that were highlighted. There were so many things that everyone covered. I find it very interesting. We have such a high need for identification and support for these students in our communities. And it was really compelling information that we have such a high number of families here in Texas, almost 90,000 families here in the state. And so the information is super, super valuable. I did not know a lot of these resources were available. So thank you to Jaslyn, Annette, and Abby for covering everything from Texas OnCourse to Military Child Education Coalition resources, and also those from TEA. Let's go ahead and celebrate the month of April as the month of the Military Child Purple Up Day. We'll make sure to put some of that on social media. And thank you all so much for your resources. At this time, let's kind of transition and open it up for questions. I know we covered a lot, but you can feel free to take a minute, ask questions, and anyone who's on the call or anyone who's in the webinar can go ahead and participate in those answers to what is relevant to your organization. And if we can't find the answer, we can get back to you in an email and follow up with your question. So just to reiterate, the chat function should be on your Zoom panel, and you can type in the Q&A box and also in the chat, either one.
There's one question about whether or not the webinar will be archived for viewing later. Yes, we will have the webinar available on our website, as well as we'll share the webinar with our partners, the Military Child Education Coalition, for them to also share as well.
Perfect. Yes, thank you, Jaslyn. Well, we can go. I don't think we have any other questions. Hang on one second.
Oh, there's one question. This is Jaslyn again. So one person asked, when will this resource include specific transitioning guidance for special needs students? That's a great question. Texas OnCourse Academy currently has a module entitled Transition Services for Students with Disabilities specifically, and there's a lot of great resources that we've partnered with the Texas Workforce Commission and their Vocational Rehabilitation Department to put out that resource, so definitely check out that resource as well.
Perfect. We'll also check the chat box and the questions before we close out of our webinar, so we make sure we get everything answered. But I just wanted to quickly put up our website that we covered, and we have a couple of different newsletters. This is the link right here for you to sign up for whatever you'd like. We have a couple different things that we send out to our users. The first is the playbook, which includes resources to support college and career teaching and advising, which is like for practitioners and folks that are doing this kind of thing every day. We also have an overarching sort of news and updates, which provides a monthly news update and events that we're having. We have fellows that are all across the state in every region in Texas. Many of them are doing professional development events and presentations. And so we have a lot coming up this next school year. So and also even in the summer. So make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. That's how you can find us. And we also have a YouTube channel that is very easy to find. We will put this webinar also on that channel as well. And we're going to get to one more question.
The question is, are there any specific resources that you recommend looking at if a person is a new high school counselor?
So, Abby, you may be able to speak to the Texas Education resources, but I'll speak a little bit about Texas OnCourse. As a new high school counselor, our resources are designed for exactly that. You kind of don't know what you don't know, basically, at that stage. And so we truly recommend you check out Texas OnCourse Academy. There are additional resources about supporting students on financial aid, career planning, high school endorsements, and so much more. So the nice thing about it is that we do have that pre-assessment available. So you are able to just kind of figure out what do you know and then just focus on what else information is available. And again, all of those resources are included as well.
And as far as the Texas Education Agency, I would definitely recommend going to our website. You will find various robust web pages for the different student populations, but also if you have questions for college, career, and military prep, or even special education services. All of our web pages are built out very well. You will also find contact information, resources, and tools. And so definitely, feel free to contact the person, either the person or the number, or even the email address. We definitely welcome any questions or any concerns, or even just to kind of guide you in the right direction. We definitely welcome those calls or emails.
Perfect. Thank you, Abby. That was a great response. Really quickly, we'll go over the webinars that we have. We have 3 left this through June. So April 2nd, which is on Tuesday, we're going to cover essays, writing samples, and resumes. May 7th, we will talk about college readiness and the TSIA exam. And then in June, we'll sort of talk again on advising students with unique needs and circumstances. And then very soon, we'll probably take a look at our webinar schedule for the 1920 school year and publish a new webinar series. We've had a lot of feedback on topics that our users are looking for, and we'd like to add some additional topics, and then also just create the whole calendar and add that so that everyone has it available for next year. We'll stay on for a couple of minutes, I would say, because we ended a little bit early, but I do want to say thanks everyone for joining us, especially our guest speakers, Abby and Annette. They've taken their time out of their day to share some really valuable information, and we really appreciate it. So thank you to all attendees. Like we said, we will send an email. And you'll get the recording. Please share it with your colleagues and anyone that would value this information, and check out our website. Okay. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any other questions, so we will go ahead and close out. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the week.